by attacking, invading, brutalizing Ukraine. He has really produced a new country. Ukraine was uncertain about what it was. And then when it was invaded, its identity flowered. And that identity was, we are truly Ukrainians. Now it tips west. Putin lost. He's lost this war, but he doesn't recognize his own loss.
What about the apparent destruction, or at least the suspension of U.S. aid at the moment, given the kinds of missions that it has, the things that it does around the world? What kind of reaction do you think that will lead to, particularly from Putin? How will he view the United States and its international activities, given that move?
Weak, weak. You know, it was interesting that Khrushchev, right after he met Kennedy for the first time, was asked by his interpreter, "What is your impression of that young man?" And Khrushchev said, "Well, he dresses very well." He said, "No, no, what do you think about him as a leader?" And he used three words: weak, young, and inexperienced, to describe Kennedy. And with those three words in his mind, he could move as dramatically as he did, and dangerously, into Cuba. Putin is not a romantic. He's not at all thinking like Khrushchev did, that if he sat down with Trump, the two of them could solve all of the problems of the world. Putin has certain very clear perception of what it is essential to him. And he believes, as by the way, many Russians believe, that security for them is a country that is composed of Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine. That is the Slavic heartland of what Putin believes is the essence of Russia. And therefore, it is impossible for him, being consistent with his views, to allow Ukraine to drift off into the West. That was the essential reason why he went into Ukraine in the first place, to stop that drift toward the West. He has done that, but he has failed in one essential way, by attacking, invading, brutalizing Ukraine. He has really produced a new country. Ukraine was uncertain about what it was, because it was always part of Russia, most of the time, part of Russia, part of the Slavic Empire, part of the Tsarist Empire. And then when it was invaded, its identity flowered, and that identity was, we are truly Ukrainians. And so, whereas before the invasion, Ukraine sort of had a split personality, tipping west or east. Now, no. Now it tips west. Putin lost. He's lost this war, but he doesn't recognize his own loss.
A couple of people have asked something along these lines, that during the Trump presidency, there was a persistent rumor that Putin had something on Trump. And they want to know, is there any evidence to support that? Does he, in fact, have something up his sleeve?
I don't think there is evidence, the kind of thing that you and I would use in a broadcast. No. There's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of, I heard, well, everybody hears things. That doesn't mean it's true. But there is a story that when Trump visited Russia about 10 years ago, he was involved in something with a number of young women, which is very easy to tell, but there is absolutely no backup support for it. But that is sort of what people talk about in diplomacy when they say it's corridor chatter. It's not hard negotiating. That is what is going to have to happen now. My concern is that Putin knows what he wants. Trump gets something in his head and then acts on it without checking with people who know what is going on in a certain part of the world. And that's the idea that you can have a president talk about moving into Gaza, moving 2 million people out. How do you do that if not with troops? How do you do that if not investing a ton of money? How do you do that without inviting casualties? And yet today, one senior Republican after another said that this was a great idea. The president is trying to help out. Even the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who knows better, has had today to support what it is that the president said. It is a very slippery foundation for a serious negotiation.